Ready to go.
Okay, good morning, everybody. My name's Bonnie Nault. I'm the 2021 president of Eastern Connecticut Association of Realtors, and I now call the meeting to order. I'm always happy to see you all here. And what a great, beautiful day we have. Finally warming up. We're excited to bring back from our favorite conference that we had in 2019, Craig Grant, who is president of the Real Estate Technology Institute, and he's going to share some tech tips to get you through and beyond the pandemic this morning. But before we begin, please turn off your cell phones. And I'd like to introduce and extend our sincere thanks to today's sponsors. I encourage our realtor members to please get to know all of our affiliates and give them opportunity to do business with you. Our diamond sponsors, Green Home Solutions, represented by Dustin Maurice. You want to say a few words, Dustin?
Oh, I just want to say hi real quick. And for those of you that don't know who we are and what we are, we're Green Home Solutions. We're an indoor environmental professional company. We specialize in mold, bacteria, and viruses. And when you realtors get mold discovered in an inspection, you're going to be giving us a call and we'll walk you through that process. Anything to do with air quality. So a lot of like rodent infestation cleanup and all that. So thank you guys for everything. Keep killing it. We need inventory. I think it'll come. I think once things open up more a little bit, we'll be back on track. But stay strong and enjoy the little bit of a break that you guys got.
Thank you. Also, the affiliates who are not registered today are diamond sponsors: Law Office of Chris Albanese, Prime Lending, and Sound Home Inspections. Our platinum sponsors today are represented by Liberty Bank. Pam Days-Lukatich is here.
Good morning, everyone. Nice to see you all. Just wanted to say that Liberty Bank is here for you with we have all your traditional mortgage products, and we have our own portfolio, Good Neighbor suite of products that can't be beat. So reach out to me and I'd love to hook you up with one of our loan officers. We also do a lot of community outreach and programs. We have a great credit builder program, home buying programs. So I'm happy to work with any of you.
Thank you.
I have a quick question, if I could interrupt. Are you familiar? I don't mean to put you on the spot, but are you familiar with some new changes to the FHA, lower interest rates? Bonnie, did you hear something about that?
The CHFA.
Are you familiar with that?
You mean the CHFA rate being lowered as of today? Or?
No, the CHFA products changing.
No, I haven't heard anything about a current change in the regular CHFA product.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Peck and Tedeschi, represented by John Peck. Is he here or not?
We can swing back around.
Okay, also not registered, but platinum sponsor is Chelsea Groton Bank, Gateway Mortgage Services, Homestead Funding Corporation, Skips Wastewater Management, Sunrise Home Inspection, and Tiger Home and Building Inspections. Our gold sponsors, who are not registered, but we appreciate, are Commission Express and Sava Insurance.
John Peck is just entering the room.
Oh, okay.
We'll give him a
John,
chance to say hi.
would you like to say a few words?
He's still connecting.
John Peck, are you on the call?
I am.
It's your
Say a few words.
Oh, hi. Sorry. Didn't know it was my turn. No, happy spring. Hope we get some more inventory so we can get a little busier. And I wish you guys all a great 2021.
Thank you so much. Did I miss anybody else? If not, I'd also like to welcome a new member, Jolene Brandt, who's attending today's event, the recent graduate of our PMP program. We're lucky enough to have Carol Christensen, CTR president, with us today. Would you like to give us any update on what's happening at the state level, Carol? Is she on, Susie?
Good morning. Good morning,
Yep.
everyone. Yes, I just got off the Region 1 state president's meeting, so my head's still kind of mixed up with all the stuff they were talking about. But yeah, CTR right now, just a quick update. I think that the AEs are going to be getting an updated legislative update today. There's been a lot of stuff going on legislatively. I'm sure everybody saw the call to action that went out at the end of last week about the buyer's conveyance tax being hidden in an environmental bill with a buyer's conveyance tax of between 0.5% and 1.5%, starting at properties over $150,000. We testified on that on Monday. The call for action, we had over 2,300 people send in written testimony against the buyer's conveyance tax, which was really kind of astonishing considering the pandemic and everything. It seems that people are much more tuned in now. So we were really excited about that. Last week, I testified against the energy scoring bill, which would be requiring landlords and homeowners to either do an energy audit on their house or provide 12 months of all of their utility bills to a prospective tenant or buyer. We have an omnibus bill going on talking about accessory unit dwellings, talking about affordable housing, talking about zoning. There's 6 parts to that. We're working on that. We've done testimony on that in the last week as well. We've also talked about the buyers, first-time home buyers savings account, savings account where their employer can put money tax-free into an account that helps their employees save up to buy a home in Connecticut. We're monitoring at any time hundreds of bills. We're working with the DCP with getting some legislation on teams because the DCP has approached us about teams. Some teams going a little bit rogue and trying to get things kind of some sort of semblance of how teams are formed and how teams work. So we've got a lot of things going on with the Real Estate Commission, the DCP, and legislatively. I'd like to thank everybody who did the call to action. That was like the quickest response we've ever gotten, which was really exciting. Continue to look out for more as the legislative session continues. And CTR has started a book club. The next book club meeting is next Wednesday on St. Patrick's Day. The book is The Color of Law by Richard Rothstein. If you'd like to jump in, we've just done the first 3 chapters. You can still sign up. I think Cindy might have sent Susie the link, but I'm not sure. I can get that if we need to. We had over 40 people on the first call. We expect the next week to have even more people. It was very well received. And we've been rolling out the implicit bias mandatory CE class and been getting rave reviews on the class. So I could keep talking, but you have a long meeting. So if anybody wants to know anything, you can contact me directly. Thank you.
Thank you, Carol. And now it's time to bring up Craig Grant. In addition to being the CEO of RETI.us, the real estate industry's online home tech for technology education, Craig is a national trainer and certified GRI, CRS, ePro, and RPR instructor for all technology and marketing courses, a member of the GRI task force, and former chairman of the Florida Realtors Education and Technology Committee. Some of you remember Craig from our 2019 resource conference, and we're very pleased to have him back. Please welcome Craig Grant.
All right, thank you guys. All right, first of all, good morning. As I mentioned, my name is Craig Grant. I'm going to be your little geek tour for the next hour, just trying to give you guys a lot of great technology tips and tools to help you, I kind of like say, thrive during and more importantly, after the pandemic. And what I mean by that is we're going to show you, I've been trying to push realtors for several years to go more virtual, use the technologies that I teach every day. And I used to say that you guys probably had like a 5-year window on the consumer side where you could get away with not using some of this technology. But I really think the pandemic has cut that window of opportunity down to really nothing. Today's customer really wants to be able to shop for properties from their own home, not drive and go into every house they want to look at. So we're going to give you a lot of tools and tricks to just run your business more virtually, more remotely, paperless, and everything else. And by the way, I'm going to put this into the chat room right now, my quick little, intro, welcome and everything. But also you'll see I have what I do is I post all of my slide decks on my website. Okay. So every slide you're about to see in this class, you can go to that link I just put into the chat room and you'll see it's a very basic sign in form. Just your name and email address is all you have to input. And then once you do that, it sends you to the next screen where you can click and download any of my classes, not just the one we're doing today. And you'll see that this class, same title, How to Thrive During and After a Pandemic, is in the list. And usually that class is more than an hour. So you actually get some bonus material if you don't go and download the slide deck. But every slide you're about to see, yes, you can download it. So you don't have to worry about writing every word I'm saying for the next hour. Because if you guys remember me from the conference in 2019, I always tell my students that I'm a fire hose of information. I pack as much tools and tricks into this hour as I can. And that way you guys can really walk away with something cool. And by the way, some of these tools and tricks you might know, some of you might know, we'll see. But a lot of the stuff we're going to show you, most realtors are not doing. So what we're going to go over is we're going to quickly at the beginning just talk about some tips on working from home. For some of you guys, the pandemic might be the first time you've ever really had to not go to the office, been forced to work from home. So some quick little advice on that. Okay. Then we're going to give you some great tools to help you stay in touch and collaborate with your sphere of influence, meaning your clients, your previous clients, leads, and everything. Some great tools to stay in touch. We're going to give you tools to really help you show and promote properties remotely. Okay. So in other words, so customers don't have to physically go to the property. And we're even going to kind of do what I like to say the whole end game is the entire transaction all the way to the close and beyond remotely as well. And I can kind of give you my own little kind of background. So we're literally at the 1 year mark since the country shut down, right? Like it was like last March 9th. I sold my house on March 12th last year. And then I had to find a house in a very short period of time. And I moved into the one I live in now on May 22nd. And where I lived in Florida, very few realtors were doing all the stuff I'm about to teach you. So it was a struggle finding a house in the start of the pandemic because a lot of property owners didn't even want me to come into their house. So I kind of felt this on the personal side firsthand last year as everything was happening. All right, so let's start off with just some tips and tricks on working from home. Again, for some of you guys might have been doing this for years, but for some people, the pandemic kind of forced you into the work from home schedule. And another kind of thing from my background is I've been in the real estate industry as an instructor, and now I run a couple different companies in the industry since 2005. And I was telling Bonnie this before we got started. My background before 2005 is I was the national director for digital media for the New York Times. So I had a nice, cushy corporate job. And when I was getting ready to leave the New York Times, one of my managers at the time gave me some amazing advice. She was just like, Craig, I don't care what happens. You got to act like you're going to work still at a corporation every single day. You know, you're going to feel like you're going to just be able to sleep in some mornings and take the day off or go to work in your slippers and your, pajamas, and you got to fight that. So the big thing is, and I'll kind of give you an idea, that first year when I left the New York Times, I literally worked out of a shed in my backyard, but I went every single day in a suit and tie out to my shed, right? It was just keeping that corporate mindset is what really got through. So you got to fight that feeling to sleep in. You got to fight that feeling to hit that snooze alarm a little bit more, right? Also, for some of you, especially if you have more people in your household than you used to, like kids that are forced home from school and everything, you might also have to make sure you're designating yourself a good workspace where you can have some quiet space, not working from the bed, not working from the couch. If you have kids at home, not having those distractions, or for some of you, you might have those four-legged kids at home that could distract you, right? So it's having that kind of safe space for you to work where you can focus on what you need to do. And then there's that whole getting dressed for work every day. Again, I could have gone every day in my pajamas to work, but I went that first year every single day in a suit and tie. Now, don't be wrong. Now, at this point, I'm in shorts and a t-shirt pretty much every day unless I'm doing a presentation like this, right? But it was just keeping that mindset that you're still working. And I'm sure you guys all know what's called Zoom attire, business up top and not business down below. So you got to fight that as well, because I'm sure you guys have all heard the disaster stories of people not realizing they're on camera, or the doorbell ringing, you get up and all of a sudden people realize you're there in your underwear, right? So you got to fight all these things and really go to work every day with that same mindset. And this was, to me, the hardest one for me, okay, was I'm a workhorse. Usually when I can start working at 8 a.m. and work till 6 p.m. without a break, no problems. And I really had to kind of force myself to take regular breaks, take the allotted time for lunch, not rushing through and wolfing down a sandwich, right? Even sometimes just taking a break from work and getting outside and clearing the head. It's important. If you've never worked from home before, you got to do this, because I'm sure you know all kinds of people right now, they're dealing with depression or really not understanding what to do. So having some me time is important. And then this is another one that, again, if you've never worked on your own, is extremely important, is always setting yourself smart, like short and attainable goals, things you can measure and knock out very, very easily. Of course, you want annual goals and 5-year plans, but you got to make sure you're able to celebrate every little success you have. Now, for some of you guys, a lot of people in real estate have had the best year ever this year, right? Because the market is crazy with low inventory. But for some of you guys, it's not. It's a little bit of a struggle. So celebrate every little success you have. And if your business isn't booming and you do have a little bit extra time on your hands, to me, this is the best time ever to kind of reach out on a personal level to your sphere, right? You might want to reach out to some old clients, just check in on them, see how they're doing. Are they alone? Are they struggling through the pandemic? Stuff like that. Just reach out on the personal level, because if you have time, that personal, the relationship side is always important in real estate. To me, it's even more important now. And then there's the whole, force yourself to stay connected with your sphere. For a lot of people, they kind of shut down when this all started. But there's so many tools you could use to stay in touch with your sphere. And we're going to start getting into a lot of technology tools and tricks in the class. Okay. So first thing is, I always say, don't ever forget about old school traditional communication tools. Just reaching out and doing a phone call with somebody, sending them a text or an email is just a good way to stay in touch, right? And if you're going to do this on more of a mass level, like I'm not talking about emailing one person individually, but you want to send out a blast to your whole database, or maybe you're going to set up little targeted parts of your database. You need a marketing system to do that, because if you try to use your own email account to send out mass marketing, I guarantee you're going to get flagged very quickly as a spammer, and you have trouble sending out emails to your friends, like, because if you get nailed as a spammer, you're going to start having really bad delivery rates. So if you're not familiar with MailChimp, I'm a big fan of MailChimp. MailChimp is, in my opinion, probably the best email marketing system there is. And the biggest key is, for probably everybody on this call, except for the association, it's free. Okay. Because if you have less than 2,000 contacts in your database and you want to set up to 12,000 emails a month, MailChimp is 100% free to use. And it's not just email. You could use it for social media posting and scheduling. You could use it for setting up like sign-in and landing pages on your website. I mean, there's so many things you can do in a free MailChimp account. And again, if your database is under 2,000, it's completely free to use. Now, what they're hoping is you're going to grow. Like, I pay a ton of money for MailChimp because my database is huge. But for a typical realtor, it's free to use. If you're looking for something a little bit different to stand out in the inbox, okay, email marketing, just so you know, has pretty poor delivery rates, but kind of conversion rates, like people reading them and responding to them, are pretty darn low, okay, because we get so much email 24 hours a day these days. Well, what BombBomb or Hippo Video, these are two different vendors that do the same thing. So you can look into either one, see which one you like more. But what they do is they do video email marketing. So you could literally record a video on your phone, or go onto their website and record a video through your webcam, however you want to do it. But what they do is they take your video and make an animation out of the first 8 seconds of your video. And the reason they do that is when you check an email in your inbox, you can't put a video player into an email. You can put an animation, a moving image. So they automatically create that little moving image in the email. And then behind that, it says, click here to watch this 37-second video. Because BombBomb or Hippo Video include the animation and then tell the customer there's a video if they click, both of them have over 80% higher reply rates and over 200% higher click rates than a normal email marketing message would. Okay, because people love video. And what these really allow you to do is you could either send out an email to, video email to a group of people, but the best use of a tool like this is one-on-one direct messaging. So let's just say Norm is one of my clients, and it's his 1-year anniversary of buying the property. I could send him a video email message saying, happy 1-year anniversary in your home. Or I could wish him a happy birthday with a personalized video, stuff like that. So yes, you could use it for mass, but the real power of these is one-on-one direct. You get much better response because people are like, wow, you took time to record a video just for me. All right, next, moving into the next thing, which would be video conferencing and call tools. And these kinds of tools have exploded during the pandemic, where you could use tools like Skype and Facebook Messenger and WhatsApp and FaceTime to call individual people via video. And I'm going to talk about it a little bit later in the session. These also can be used to show someone a property. If I have somebody on a Facebook Messenger video call, I can turn the camera around and walk them around the property and give them a tour of it. Again, a lot of consumers don't want to go to properties, but they probably might be willing to have a show that you do for them. And then what's really exploded during the pandemic is full-blown video conferencing, kind of what we're doing right now in this meeting. So there's two major options that most people are using, which is either Google Meet, and the next one, of course, is going to be Zoom, which we're in now. So Google Meet, if you're not familiar with this, is Google's video conferencing platform, just like Zoom. If you have a Gmail account, which is free, you can have up to 100 people at once in a Google Meet call. Okay, so if you're trying to plan a first-time home buyer video conference, whatever you're going to do, you have 100 people in a free Gmail account. If you have, by the way, Google right now is phasing out what's called G Suite, and they're moving it into a new platform called Google Workspace. It's pretty much the same thing, just a little bit different packages. But it's basically you become a paid customer of Google. So if you have the Essentials account, which is basically, I think $12 a month, and it includes a lot more than just the video conferencing, you can have up to 150 people at once in your video conferencing. If you have a Enterprise account, which is $18 a month, you can get up to 250 people at once. And one of the really cool things about Google Meet, if you're not familiar with it, is it does also integrate tools like Google Translate into it. So in other words, you can have an international buyer seminar with people from all over the world, and they could be translating into their language on their end in real time. Okay. And if you're doing a video conference with somebody else, you can have what they're saying translated back to your language in real time as well. So it's pretty cool. To me, it's actually a better platform than Zoom, even though Zoom has really become the standard everyone's using. Okay. And then of course there's Zoom, which now is literally a verb. People are using Zoom today. So you can use the free basic plan, by the way. Free basic plans allow you to do up to 40-minute video conferencing with up to, I believe, 25 people. So if you want to just use Zoom on a regular basis, it's free and pretty easy to use. Or if you get the pro account, it's $15 a month. And then you have to 100 people, you could do recording and a lot more than the 40-minute limitation in the free. So either of those, you could have a bunch of people involved at once. Okay. From a communication side of things, I don't know if any of you guys have a business background outside of real estate or before real estate, but Slack is becoming the most commonly used business tool in the corporate world for communication. So in other words, if I work at a company, why would I send an email to my coworkers? I can just Slack them instead. It's almost like you create little communication channels where you can talk to your other coworkers, your broker, or whatever. And you can even set up channels for people that don't work with you, such as your clients. So Slack is just a really cool tool to communicate. You can exchange files with people through it. A lot of tools tie into it. So for most of you guys, I'm sure you could use the free plan. It allows several different Slack channels for free. If you are, again, a company or a team, you'd be paying that $6.67 a month if you have, I think, more than 5 people involved having their own channels. All right, and then when it comes to like business collaboration, your two major options for collaborating on the kind of document side are either Microsoft or Google. Okay, so Microsoft has a newer program that's come out about a year and a half ago called Microsoft Teams. And a lot of people don't really understand what Teams is. Teams is a program where you can open up any other Microsoft program inside of it and then share and work on with other people. So in other words, I could be working on a Word document in Microsoft Word and then open that up in Teams and then share and collaborate on with Rose. Okay, so we could work on it even though we're in other parts of the world. So all of Microsoft's programs, like Office is a monthly paid program, SharePoint's a paid monthly program, Teams is free. It just makes Microsoft programs shareable and collaborating. So you can work on it with other people. And then on the Google side, every Google program, if you're using Google Docs or any of those tools, has a share button built right into it. You don't have to go to a separate program, and you can share and work on documents with other people from all over the world. So if you're trying to literally like plan out something with a client or your broker or whatever, these really help you do kind of business collaboration with other people. All right, any questions, anything so far, by the way, guys? And by the way, I pretty much see everyone's faces. I can see the chat. So if you guys have questions, don't be shy. Feel free to ask. All right, next, let's move into how do you kind of present to a customer, either in person or virtually, like a listing presentation. So right off the bat, there's RPR, which I'm sure you guys know what RPR is. To me, it's probably the best gift any is given the membership. It's a realtor member only tool. Consumers cannot use RPR, but the amount of data and reporting you can do in RPR is pretty phenomenal. And then you can generate a property CMA, you can generate a neighborhood report or whatever it is. And then of course, share that to your client either in person or remotely. Okay, so RPR is a great tool for doing, again, listing presentations or studies, reports, all that kind of stuff. Another tool that's pretty popular in the industry is Cloud CMA. Cloud CMA is a separate paid program, even though RPR is free. A lot of realtors in the industry still opt to go with Cloud CMA, even though it's a paid program. RPR's reports are amazing. I mean, the amount of data, I mean, you can create literally an 80-page report just for one listing. But Cloud CMAs tend to be a little bit prettier and a little bit kind of more impressive to the customer from the presentation side. So they're not as data heavy as RPRs, but they're a little bit prettier in presentation. So if you're looking for something a little bit nicer, you might want to check out Cloud CMA. And if you're looking for something completely different, how to present to a customer, you can look into a newer tool called Studio. So Studio, it's almost like you create a very interactive magazine about one property. So in other words, literally somebody kind of flips through on their mobile device, learning about that property, kind of page by page. But on each page, you can embed videos, voice narration. So in other words, if they flip to the page about the bedrooms, you can be describing the bedroom with a video and voice narration. They go to the kitchen, you could be talking about the refrigerator and the stovetop and explaining the kitchen. So it's kind of a very different interactive way to present a property. And of course, you could share that to someone remotely as well. All right, next little category is kind of like lead generation solutions. You can kind of put on kind of autopilot to help you generate business. Okay, I just saw a question. Brian says the RPR is a challenge in Connecticut for CMA because 2 big franchises have opted out, meaning their comparable sales are missing. I wasn't aware of that. Usually comparable sales comes from your tax appraiser though, not from real estate companies. Is that, Susie, is that legit there?
It is, but there has been an issue and not all of the MLS data is on RPR. So it is a bit of a thing. And when we first got the data, which was years after most other states got it,
Yep.
some of the tax data is outdated and incomplete. So
Yeah, well, that's tax stuff around the country a lot of times can be out of date, depending on how quick each county updates stuff, but I wasn't aware of that. So appreciate that, Brian. All right, moving into kind of listing, kind of like lead generation tools. So the first one is a company called Spacio. And what they specialize in is kind of helping you drive traffic to open houses. Susie just asked, how much is Studio? Not sure offhand, but I can look that up in a couple of minutes. So they specialize in helping you drive foot traffic or virtual traffic, because they have a virtual version as well, to open houses. So they literally have a platform where you can go in, create the listing you want to promote. They'll start creating Facebook advertising campaigns and everything like that to drive people to go to your open house. So if you're looking for ways to draw people either to a virtual open or to a real open house, this is a good tool to do that. And then if you're looking for like kind of like automated social media posting for real estate, these are 3 different companies that specialize in that. Either Yolopo, Back at You Media, or JustListed.social. So they will automatically create social media posts for you every time you get a new listing or a price reduction or open houses or closed sales or anything like that. They also at times will pump in just generic real estate news that'll get people kind of adding more content to your social media feed. So if you're looking for stuff to kind of enlarge your social media presence, like I always believe some of it should come from you. You don't want to just rely on a company posting, but this could definitely help you kind of enhance what you're putting out there in social media for real estate. All right, and then kind of a separate mini category. These 3 companies do the same thing, but they also kick in what's called an ISA, basically a call center, right? So not only will they post for you, they will respond to your leads. They'll pick up that phone and get you scheduled appointments and everything. So of course, a little bit more expensive than the previous slide because they're also doing the follow-up for you as well. So if you're looking for that, because one thing I talk about all the time is customers these days do not wait around. If you don't get back to them within a few minutes, they're gone and they've moved on and called somebody else. So If you're not the kind of person who responds to your phone every single time, you're kind of killing your chance of lead conversion. So that's when you might want to look into a call center. And these three include the posting plus the follow-up. And then another thing you definitely should have if you don't have it these days is a CRM, which stands for Customer Relationship Management System. And a CRM is really, I always say it's probably the most important decision a realtor has to make because it ends up running almost every aspect of your business. It runs your contact management, your follow-up, your document storage, it tells you what activities to do each day so you don't drop the ball and forget something. A lot of them now are even helping you do your marketing. There so much is in a modern CRM. So it's not a quick little easy decision. I'm going to show you later. I've actually created a tool to help you kind of figure it out. But a CRM is really, really important because it really does run almost every part of your business. And it's vital these days because, again, customers don't wait around. You got to be on the ball with customer service and response. And that's a big key in doing it. Okay. And this is just a handful of some of the best CRMs in the business. But again, I'm going to give you a tool a little bit later where it might even help you figure out which one of these to choose to go with because there's so many to choose from and they're all different. All right. Next thing we're going to get into is some tools to help you kind of help customers buy and sell real estate virtually. And again, when I went through this last year, when the pandemic was in the country was shutting down, this is the kind of stuff that really frustrated me as a consumer, as a buyer. And like I mentioned earlier, I've been trying to push the real estate industry in this direction for several years now. And that window of opportunity of saying, I'll pick up this stuff over time, or maybe I'll be out of the business by the time it matters is over. Customers now expect to be able to do everything themselves. And if they don't, they move pretty quick to something else. And this is a quick little video I'm going to show you of an actual news, like a news station cast from my area in Florida. And to kind of give you an idea, this is right as the pandemic started last year. And the company they're highlighting, I know them, they're not exactly a tech savvy company. And it even talks about how they realized they knew they had to pivot right away if they were going to survive what was going on.
WPTV is dedicated to profiling businesses that are still open for all of us. As you know, the COVID-19 crisis continues to impact all local businesses. Yet tonight, another company is getting really creative to stay afloat. WPTV News Channel 5 Sabira Rayford shows you how.
COVID-19 has forced many businesses to shut down. However, one local real estate agency is using this as an opportunity to go virtual.
We're going to go from house to house today.
Virtual reality meet virtual realty.
And we're going to show you 9 different open houses.
On Sunday, for the first time, Echo Find Properties.
We specialize in residential real estate in Palm Beach County.
Open the digital door to real estate.
We had to go into, crisis management mode.
COVID-19 caused them to close their offices. Now using Zoom, a video conferencing program, the president of the agency says they were able to safely sell properties.
This weekend we had 3 sales. And, one of them, was a New Yorker, was a doctor who wanted to be out of New York, was in a rental situation, and bought a home this weekend.
He says this pandemic forced them to embrace technology. It's a reality that's far from perfect.
You have to unmute your mic, Jeff.
But one he believes will be beneficial in the long run.
So as long as we stay at the forefront and stay positive, reach out to our clients, communicate, solve problems, and not dwell on the negative, but where we can be in a positive force, we'll be fine.
Reporting in Palm Beach County, Sabir Rayford, WPTV News Channel 5.
So as you can see, he even talks about how they're not tech savvy, but they kind of went into crisis mode and realized they've got to adjust and start doing these kinds of things, right? And to kind of give you another example, and again, I track realtors all over the country doing things, but this is one of my favorite real estate teams in Florida. They just do an amazing job on marketing in a lot of different ways. And when the pandemic started, I don't know if you can see the screenshots, the dates in them. The post on the left is them saying, hey, we're going to do an open house event tomorrow, be online at this time, right? And then the post on the right is the following day of them going live at that property. And if you can notice, first of all, it is not sponsored. It's not a boosted or paid thing. And there's over 1,000 views on that property the next day for free, okay? And I'm going to teach you how to do this. You got to create events and let people know to be online at a certain time, which is very easy to do now. Because if you just say I'm live, it's just who's online at that moment, right? You want to make sure people know this is scheduled viewing, be online tomorrow at 5 o'clock or whenever you're going to do your viewing. And some other things this team did that was just brilliant. And by the way, I don't know if you know where Gainesville, Florida is. It's a small college town, and that team dominates that market. They're by far the #1 team there because they were doing not only before the pandemic, but they really kept it going because they were doing so much for the community. For example, all this stuff is in last March. It's like right as everything was starting and everyone was freaking out, they created a community resource guide to let people know, okay, here's things you could do for your kids in the weekends. Here's how to apply for the CARES Act. They created their own little community resource guide. And then the post on the right is showing you, like, they had members of their team, like a lot of parents were really freaking out last March saying, okay, what am I doing with my kids now that they're home? Like, they're not in school. So they were like giving, here's some fun science activities to do with your kids while they're home and stuff like that. So all this kind of stuff was getting huge draw, and it was really connecting with their community at a great level. So it's not just about selling properties. You got to kind of go and do some other things as well. All right, so now let's kind of give you some tools that you can use with customers or you can use to promote properties kind of remotely and virtually. So the first one's a pretty cool app from Sherwin-Williams, the paint company, called Color Snap Visualizer. And what this one does, let's say you're trying to promote a property or you're taking a buyer to a property and that property needs some love. I mean, it's kind of run down and needs some work. And your client is not a very visual person. Well, all you got to do is hold this app up to the room and say, well, see what this room would look like if we change the colors of the walls to a different paint color, or if we put up wallpaper or put in flooring, so they can visualize what that room would look like using what's called augmented reality. And of course, they're trying to sell you paint. That's why it's free. But it's a very cool tool to use when you're with a client out in the field. Or you could be at that property and then send them a picture of it. Here's what it could look like. And another amazing app for this kind of stuff is Home Depot. Okay. You guys may not know this, but Home Depot's app is actually rated the #1 augmented reality app of all industries. It's an incredible app. So you can do things like changing colors of walls. You can kind of say, I want to see what this room would look like with different furniture and like virtual staging. You can just like kind of use the scanning tool in it to say, okay, what other kind of windows are available in this size? I mean, there's so many cool things you can do with Home Depot's app. Okay. They blow away Lowe's. Sorry, Lowe's. But the app is an excellent app for doing a lot with your customers or for your own property if you're doing some work. And then when it comes to actually virtually staging furniture into a room, okay, the top 3 that I'm giving you, Homestyle or InDesign, Curate, and IKEA Place, are all mobile apps. So if you'd rather do this from your phone or your tablet, use the top 3. If you'd rather do it back on a computer, Visual Stager is a website you can go to do virtual staging. So visualstager.com if you want to do it from your computer instead. Okay. But this allows you to very quickly and easily kind of insert furniture into a vacant room, which, by the way, according to the Code of Ethics, you are completely allowed to virtually stage a room as long as you disclose that.
Craig, can I interrupt you for just a second?
Absolutely.
So our member services reviewed a brand new company called StyleDod. And they do virtual staging, all of this stuff as well. And they are probably half the price of Box Brownie, which NAR highly endorsed.
Wow.
And our board of directors. I'm sorry, what?
I was going to say, because literally my next slide is Box Brownie, and Box Brownie is the least expensive one I've seen with quality. I mean, you know what I mean?
So StyleDod is very similar to Box Brownie, but it's about half the price. And our board of directors last month approved a partnership with StyleDod. So for you guys that are on the call, that is coming in the near future. We're just getting it uploaded into their system so that you guys will be able to get 20% off of any already advertised special that StyleDod has. But Craig's going to describe Box Brownie, and just know that StyleDod is on the way for eCar as a member.
Awesome. I honestly have never heard of them, but I just pulled up their site. I'm looking at it right now.
Okay.
Cool. All right. So you guys, everything I'm saying about Box Brownie just apply to StyleDod, because my kind of point was the ones I gave you on the previous slide, the Homestyle, InDesign, Curate, and IKEA Place and Visual Stager are pretty easy to use do-it-yourself tools. But if you don't have the time or the skill to do it, even though they are pretty easy, I always say go with a company like Box Brownie, or now that you guys have StyleDod, look into that one, because they are really well known for high quality work, low price, and quick turnaround. So if StyleDod's even cheaper, even better. Because again, I've never seen anybody get below Box Brownie's price that does the quality of work they do. That's the key. But they can do virtual staging, importing furniture into a room, image removal. So if a room is cluttered, anything like that. And by the way, Susie just put in the chat, it's a 15% discount, not 20. But they can do image removal. They can also do what's called image rendering, which means, by the way, you're not allowed to do a rendering in a promotional piece. Like you can't put it into the MLS, you can't put it in a promotional social media post or anything like that. But you can have it at the point of sale, meaning in the property. So for example, if you're trying to represent a property and the kitchen is disaster and the homeowner's unwilling to update the kitchen, you could get a virtual rendering that says, here's what this kitchen could look like if you invested $5,000 into a redesign of the kitchen. Okay. Or here's what this backyard could look like with a pool. So again, virtual renderings can't be used for promotions. They can use at point of sale to help a potential buyer understand what the potential of the property could be. All right, moving on to the next thing, which is floor plans. And this is one thing that really got under my skin when I was trying to buy. Because again, I was trying to buy right as the pandemic was happening, right at the beginning. And at that point, really, we didn't know much about the pandemic. And a lot of homeowners did not want people in their households. Like they didn't want anyone coming in. And I was like, fine, can I at least see a floor plan and see what your house looks like to get a better understanding of it? And there was almost none of it, okay? So Floor Plan Online, if you go into their site, they have a do-it-yourself free tool where you can build your own floor plans, okay? Or if you don't have the time or the skill to do it yourself, you could literally just kind of do the measurements and send them like a napkin, like a writing on a piece of napkin or a piece of paper with your dimensions, and they will build you a nice looking floor plan for $29. Okay. So if you don't have the time to do it yourself, send it to them and they will do it for you. They have packages. If you're going to do this, not just for one property, if you're going to do it consistently, they have packages that will do many of your floor plans for $30 a month. Okay. But if you're just going to do it one time, $29. The same company also has like a network of photographers all around the country who will go out and do photo shoots and virtual tours and 3D virtual tours for you. And those packages start at $179. And then another tool that's become really popular in the industry. In fact, almost every software I'm in the business that deals with floor plans, I'm seeing now tying into the Ricoh cameras. The Ricoh cameras are like tiny little stick cameras. They're literally the size of my clicker. Okay. And the Theta 5 is around $500. The Theta Z1's around $1,000. But these tiny little cameras do photos, videos, 360 virtual tours. Oh, Greg's got one. There it is. Okay. 360 virtual tours. And they even do measurements as they go. They can create your floor plans all at the same time in that tiny little camera. So the difference is the Theta 5, of course, is a lower resolution camera than the Z1. But again, you're talking $500 or $1,000 to go with either one of those. And another really cool tool for helping you do floor plans is Magic Plan. Okay. Magic Plan, as you see, is a $10, is $9.99 a month app that you could use on any mobile device. And Magic Plan is pretty incredible. The only way to really understand it is see it in action. So I'm going to show you this little video that shows you exactly what Magic Plan does.
The new room scan is a completely touchless experience. No need to tap any buttons. All you need to do is move your camera through a room. The app will automatically detect the corners. To set the room height, you simply tilt up to the ceiling. By aiming at doors or windows, the app will also detect, place, and size them. When you're done, the result is a fully dimensioned sketch including all windows and doors. If you switch into elevation view, you'll see that windows and doors have been positioned and sized correctly on all walls. By using the object menu, you can add more items to your sketch to finish the room. If you have multiple rooms, you can assemble them to a complete floor plan. And that's all there is to it. By tapping on the icon below, you can view your sketch in 3D or generate a brandable PDF. The PDF includes your finished floor plan, all dimensions, as well as individual rooms and elevations.
So it's pretty cool. Again, it creates the measurements, the floor plan, 2D, 3D virtual tour, and the brandable PDF that you can then have as like a brochure about that property at the point of sale. So that's all $10 a month, no matter how many listings you have. By the way, a few things that were in the chat. Greg mentioned iMoviewer, sorry, is integrated in Smart MLS, and they can build a 3D floor plan as well. So that's awesome to know. And then Stephanie asked, how is the learning curve on the camera operation? I'm assuming you're talking about the what do you call it? The Ricoh cameras. When you ask that question, Stephanie, from what I know, I mean, I don't have one personally, but from what I know, they're pretty easy to use. It's kind of like it, uses LiDAR to do the measuring and do stuff like that. So that's why they're being used by so many different products.
Yeah, I put in chat for everybody, for Melissa Giangrasso and Smart MLS. I had done a training video on ImmoViewer and the 3D camera. So that link is in there if you guys do want to see more about that.
Awesome. Thanks, Greg. That's awesome. All right. A couple other things that are a little bit kind of higher level than what I've shown you. Okay. So there's two different companies. There's iGuide and also Matterport. So both of these two are very expensive cameras. Like they're several $1,000s by the camera. And your options are either you buy the camera and then you can learn how to do it and do it all yourself, or both of them have a network of photographers around the country. And I'm sure there's a licensed Matterport photographer in your area that can go out and do this for you. But what they create is not just the floor plan and the 2D and 3D virtual tour. They also create what's called an immersive tour. And what an immersive tour basically means is it's almost like somebody feels like they've been dropped into a property and then they can move around and they're not just looking at blank walls. They would like it with a, for like we just showed you with Magic Plan. They would actually see the actual space in the room. They would see the paintings on the walls. They'd be zooming in and look at the carpet and the tile. Like it's literally like they're in those rooms and they can walk around and move around the property. So both iGuide and Matterport create an immersive tour as well. And also the dollhouse view, like Stephanie mentioned. And a dollhouse view is where it almost feels like either the roof or the ceiling's been removed. So you can really see the floor plan from above it. So they do all that stuff. So again, these are a little bit more expensive, but if you're looking for something different and maybe to get some more listings, they are pretty impressive and they get a lot more views online because they are different and give a buyer a lot better experience. And then the other thing is looking into drones if you don't use one yet, okay? Drones aren't very expensive anymore. They're now, you usually get a good one for under $1,000 and they've become much, much easier to use. And what I mean by that is 5 years ago, the odds of everyone in this crowd not crashing one would be pretty high. Now, if you get a good drone, it's almost impossible to crash them. They have a lot more technology in there so that you won't fly into a wall or hit power lines or trees or anything like that. And the difference you can do to kind of really show a property from the sky versus a bunch of photos from the ground is a totally different experience for the buyer. Okay. Now, just one important thing about drone work. Okay. You are required by law to have an FAA license to do commercial drone work. So if you're either going to do it yourself, you have to take the FAA's test and pass that test to get your license. If you hire anybody to do a drone footage for you, you definitely should require to see their FAA license, because a lot of photographers sometimes fib about it, say, oh yeah, we're licensed just so they can get paid. And if they post one of your drone footage online without that license, you, not that videographer, would get a $10,000 fine. And even potentially a potential jail time if it violates airspace laws, such as near military base or things like that. So you gotta be really careful if you hire anybody to do drone work that they are properly licensed. All right, next one, we talked about earlier, all those tools you could use to do a video call also means you could also do a video show of a property. You could have somebody on a video call and walk them around, right? But if you're really smart, you take it to the next level and you live stream it out to social media, because you may not know this, but live stream video to social media to any of these 5 sites typically gets between 10 to 20 times the exposure of a recorded and uploaded video. So in other words, if you record a video and upload it and post it to Facebook, if your normal reach of a post gets around 50 people, you'll get your normal 50 people. If you decide to live stream instead, you're going to get between 500 and 1,000 people just because you went live instead of recording it. So you get way, way more free exposure for live streaming. Take advantage of that. But if you're really smart, you then take it another step further. And by the way, you could be live streaming anything, whether it's open houses, properties, neighborhoods, really anything. But if you're really smart, you take it a step further than that, and now you schedule it as an event. Okay. As I mentioned earlier, if you just go live right now to whoever's on the site right that moment, and also, all right, I have a few minutes to jump into your live. If you tell people be online Saturday at noon, now they might even put it on their calendar. If they say they're interested in going, they'll get that notification before you go live. Like, it really prepares them to be there at that time. And then the second bullet is a Facebook and Instagram thing, not the other sites. But Facebook and Instagram have a feature called Watch Party, which I don't know if you know what that is. But a watch party is, once you go live, you can click on the watch party button and it'll show you all of your friends who are on that site right at that moment. And you can start inviting them in right now to make your crowd even bigger. So you should schedule an event. That way people know to be there. And then once it goes live, then do the watch party to make it even, pull in even more people that weren't kind of scheduled to do it. Okay. And if you don't know about this, Facebook changed this about 2 months ago. They made it so much easier to schedule an event. So all you got to do is go to, and by the way, this is just on a computer, not on a phone or a tablet. Okay. But if you go to facebook.com and in that little post box, you click on the live video button, it'll send you to a new screen called the live producer. And what you'll see is in the top left corner of the live producer, the first option is go live right now. And the second option is schedule a live video. So if you click on schedule live video, it then gives you a date and time picker. Then you just type in a description, a title, put in a picture, and you're done. Okay. So it creates an actual event, and then you can say, people can say, I'm interested in going, I'm not going, or I'm going. And you can then share that as a post to get even more people to go. Or if you really want to promote it, you can do it as a boost as well. Okay.
Craig, can I interrupt you for a second?
Of course.
Is that only for your Facebook profile? It's not, is it a different instead of instructions for a page or a group?
Nope. So I should have mentioned that. So you do it from the personal. You just click on that live button. But right here in my screen below the date picker is where do you want this live to post to? So there's a drop down where you say, I want it on my personal, I want it on my business, or I want to post to a group.
Oh, okay.
So you do the same thing no matter where you want to post it, but you choose where you want to post it.
Okay.
All right. Any questions on any of those? All right. Next thing is kind of
Wait,
what
I
I
have
call.
a question. I'm sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
So you just showed us how to schedule it.
Mhm.
Can you is there something in between pre-recorded and uploaded and a live stream? Can you do a live stream that you can review before you let people see it?
Kind of, but no, not really. I mean, what you can do is when you choose your audience.
Can you preview a live before?
I know.
Yeah, that's not really what live is.
Live.
What you can do is if you're just trying to play with this, like practice, you can like choose your audience as only me or just close friends or something like that on your personal. And that way you're not worried about, the whole world seeing you playing around. You know what I mean? But when you really are doing this in the marketing world, no, there's no in between. It's like, that's the whole point is you're going live right now, spur of the moment, even though you're scheduling it, you're going live right at that moment.
Thank you.
Yep. Yeah. So if you record it again or review it, it's going to get less exposure. It really is.
And this obviously keeps a recording that you can show again.
You can show it again. You can also, once it's done, you can go back to it. You can kind of click on the three little dot menu on the top of your post and say, download the video. So if you want to have the video file, you can save it from Facebook.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So again, the whole point is and by the way, they will not be giving away 10 to 20 times the exposure for free 2 years from now. They will not. None of the sites will. Okay. Live streaming video is kind of the hot thing in social media right now. So they are giving it so much juice in the algorithm. Like it's getting way more exposure in people's feeds. It's getting way more presence in people's notifications. Like I could go live at 10 a.m. and if Tina goes on the site at 5 p.m., it'll say Craig was live earlier, right? Like they don't do that with regular posts. They're doing it with live right now. And 2 years from now, they probably won't because Facebook doesn't want you to try out Twitter's live. They don't want you to try out YouTube live. They just want you to stay on Facebook. So they're just giving, all the sites are doing the same thing. They're giving a lot of exposure to live streaming video because they want you to use theirs.
can we dive just a bit deeper into this? Because I don't know about you guys on the call, but I have seen so many live streamed videos that are so bad.
Yep.
So bad that I wish I wasn't exposed to them. Can you give us tips on how to do a successful live, right? Like from holding the camera to placement of yourself in the picture, stuff like that,
Sure.
because I don't like seeing those bad ones and I don't want to produce anything bad.
Sure. I mean, well, first of all, and it might undercut a teeny bit what you were saying there, but I'll address that totally. The first thing that I would say, whether it's a live video, recorded, doesn't matter what it is, the most important thing with video today on social media or in online in general is authenticity. Okay. People really don't like perfect, rehearsed, polished kind of video anymore, unless it's like a marketing commercial. It's okay if you flub a word. It's okay if your hair isn't perfect or whatever it is. People like kind of like real more than anything these days. Those are the best performing videos. So I'm in no way saying that doesn't mean you can have a bad video, but don't worry about being perfect is kind of the key, right? You don't have to sit there and memorize your lines and have a teleprompter because people really don't take that serious anymore. So authenticity is key. But other than that, I mean, the major things that really affect video performance online are, and I would say there's a few things consumers don't put up with. Number one is what's called kind of the shakiness and bounciness, kind of stabilization, right? People hate bouncy, shaky videos. So you might want to invest. I'm a big fan of what are called gimbals. Like this is an example of one here. Okay. Gimbals are little handheld stabilizers. I can walk around. I could literally run in place with that thing and the video would still be perfectly steady. It would not bounce and shake at all. And I could use this little joystick to turn my camera to the left, turn it to the right, stuff like that, take pictures as I'm going. So little gimbals are really, really important to use to make sure it's not shaky and bouncy, okay? And by the way, this is just kind of a newer one. This one even has a hidden selfie stick. So I can have both a gimbal and a selfie stick kind of combo in one. Because that's another thing is if you're gonna record yourself on video, angling of your video is important, okay? You always want your camera to be positioned a little bit above your face, kind of shooting down a little bit on an angle. Because if you don't, if you're kind of doing straight on or underneath, all people see is nostrils and neck and nobody looks good that way, okay? So always position the camera a little bit above yourself. Stephanie just asked landscape or portrait. That honestly matters where you want it to show up on, okay? And what I mean by that is all social media sites prefer vertical video, okay? If you intend to make it a YouTube video for marketing, like not just kind of a regular kind of a video, YouTube prefers landscape, sideways. Okay, so it just matters on where your end goal of it is to be. So the shakiness and the bounciness is a big thing. Lighting is another thing. Okay, if it's really kind of dark and kind of stuff like that. Now I know we're all in our bedrooms and everything right now, but some of you are really well lit and you present really well right now, and some of you it's kind of hard to see you. Okay, lighting is really important. So they sell little kind of ring lights you can put on your phone if you can do it from your phone or your tablet. They sell other little lighting things you can put on your computer if you're doing it from your chair. I mean, they sell all kinds of lighting things these days. But lighting is important, especially if you're in a kind of a dark area. And audio quality is another thing that's a major issue because most cameras, whether it's your phone or a DSLR, doesn't matter what camera it is, most of them have really poor audio receptors, like picking up your audio. So you really probably need to, if you're going to speak on video, you might want to invest in a cheap little microphone. You have to spend a lot of money on it. Okay. But audio quality, the stabilization, the shakiness and the bouncing and lighting are the three main things I'd recommend. And then it's, when you go live, at least have an idea what you're going to be talking about. Don't just kind of try to figure it out as you go, because people do kind of lose interest if you're just kind of walking around and rambling. Does that help?
Yes, and central position or to one side, any preference there?
The camera itself?
Your face in the view.
Central, I would say central, but at least, again, you want to angle down a little bit. And that's why something like a selfie stick is so important, because it helps you extend your arm. Like you don't have to sit there with your arm straight out to do things.
Yep.
Hey, Craig, I got a question for you on the gimbal versus the audio. Typically, lavalier mic will give you the best audio, when you're on a mobile, but then it screws up the gimbal because it's the cord's tugging on the gimbal. What do you think? You got any Bluetooth solutions to that?
There's a lot of Bluetooth microphones. I mean, I have a Sennheiser that does, it's a really good one. I mean, Sony has them. I mean, when you get into a Bluetooth microphone, you're talking a little bit more money. I mean, instead of getting a $20 microphone, you might be in the more $100 range. It's not a huge amount of money, but there are a lot of good Bluetooth microphones now. I mean, there's a lot of people doing this stuff. I mean, think about all the kids, doing Twitch and YouTube and all that. They're constantly doing these things. So there's a lot of Bluetooth mics out there now.
So the Bluetooth without the, that's coming, using the phone Bluetooth is just going to the mic.
Correct.
Cool.
Yep. All right. Everyone good on that? Okay, cool. All right. So the next thing would be kind of what I like to call contract and beyond. Other things, tools we could use to kind of do our business completely digitally and virtually. So first thing is what I call transaction management tools. And some people call this a task manager. And by the way, this is my little note to you. A lot of CRMs now they build in a task manager. So if you have a good CRM, you might not have to go shop for a task manager, but a task manager is a pretty necessary thing, because I always say as a realtor, you don't screw up every single day, because you have so many little moving parts. If you're working with multiple clients, of activities you have to do and paperwork has to be turned in and vendors you're coordinating things with, it's a kind of a really tough job juggling activities in the real estate world. And that's what a task manager is. It's like your own personal calendar or to-do list kind of a program. So again, a lot of the CRMs have them built in, but if you don't have a task manager, these are some other kind of third-party tools you can look into to help you stay organized and not screw up your business. And then it comes to contracts and forms. Susie, do you guys have a tool you guys provide the membership for doing contracts?
Oh, do we ever? Our Smart MLS has Instanet. We also offer the zip forms, DocuSign, and .loop, and we have them on our website as savable, fillable PDFs.
Wow, you give them all, you provide them all those? That's awesome.
We do.
Yeah, no, that's awesome, because that's pretty much everyone on my list, other than I think Skyscope you didn't mention, right? But you guys have a lot to choose from. But those tools are literally, I mean, they're lifesavers. Even before the pandemic, they just make the job easier and make everyone's life easier no matter what side of the transaction they're on. Okay. And then to me, when I was in that market, when I was trying to buy my house, this is the one that honestly got under my skin the most: closing tools. Okay. Because if you've ever done a deal with a client where they're doing the purchase and the sale on the same day, that's a hectic, stressful day, right? You're closing on one, you're buying the other within hours of each other. And I literally got into an argument with the title company because they did not have any closing tools. And I was furious about it because, I had my entire family, my cars are packed to the hill, my dog's with me, and I had to drag them all into their office to sign the deed, to sign all the paperwork. And it drove me berserk. And I was like, why can't you use any of these programs, right? And if you don't know how they work, for example, like Notarize, you literally jump on a video call, just like we're doing right now with Zoom, with an official notary. And that way they can observe you actually signing the contracts, and then they can do their notary work completely remotely. Okay. You're not talking about a big expense, but you should definitely be almost like asking or demanding of your lenders these days that they use notary tools like this, because why should your customer have to go to their office to sign and be such an inconvenience and more stress?
Craig, I don't know if that's a state regulatory issue. John Peck, I think you're still on the call. Do you want to speak to that? I'm not sure if we're allowed to.
Oh, really?
No, we're not. We don't have a remote online notarization statute in Connecticut. There's one that was just introduced in the legislature, and it specifically excludes the performance of a closing. So we are far from a point where notarization remotely is going to be available in Connecticut. There are several lenders, however, that have products that allow for the signing of a significant portion of the package remotely, so that when you do go to your closing attorney's office, all you're going to be signing is the documents that require notarization, or there are a few others that require original signature, like a 4506. Typically the CD is also signed originally at closing, but it really minimizes. We have one lender that we signed 6 documents at closing, and the balance of them are signed remotely. But as far as remote online notarization, Connecticut does not have it, and you should not be looking for it in the near future.
Got it. Sorry
Although
about that,
I
guys.
believe CTR is strongly for that, working on it.
Yeah.
Carol, I don't know if you're still on the call.
Yeah.
You can speak to that.
That's true. They were involved. I think they were involved early in discussions regarding the statute, but the statute has been drafted and it's already before the legislature, and there is a specific clause that specifically omits closings from participation and use of the statute. So, we'll see.
Thank you, John.
Okay.
Carol, I don't know if Carol was about to contribute on that or not. All right. Well, apologize for that, guys. Again, in Florida, we have a statute that allows it, and my lender just flat out wasn't using it, which is what drove me nuts. You know what I mean? So, all right. And then kind of finally, I always say, again, if your business is booming and you just can't keep up with things, awesome, right? But if it's not, and you have a little bit more time on your hands to do some things, now is probably the best time ever to focus on you, right? So things like improving your business through education. Obviously, if you're here today, other than the first couple minutes of the association updates, you're here because you're interested in improving your business through education. But it might be that perfect time to take some additional classes, go after that designation you had your eye on, or maybe try out a new technology tool or something like that. Kind of grow your business. Maybe you've never used a drone before. Maybe you start playing with one of those. And at the same time, it's really a good time, if you haven't done this in a while, to sit down and really reassess your entire marketing strategy. Okay. Again, the customers are changing. They're changing rapidly, which means your marketing might have to change with them. So you might want to sit back and look at that. And maybe you're not very active in social media. Maybe get a little bit more active, or maybe you pick up a new channel they haven't used before. But again, I just think it's a perfect time to work on you and build your business, because in situations like this with a pandemic, companies or businesses that run and hide and kind of just say, let's cut back on things, usually have a very low kind of survival rate. Companies that kind of really invest and say, we're not going to hide from this thing, we're going to still kind of keep growing, are usually the ones that come out the strongest. So that's been proven time and time again. And I mentioned earlier about really needing to have a CRM, how it helps you in so many ways to stay organized and do your business. Well, I talk to a lot of the CRM vendors, and I'll be like, man, you have an amazing system. I'll kind of go through it and analyze it and everything. And they'll say, yeah, problem is our clients probably use about 10% of our tools, right? Or they don't really take the time to go in and fill out all their customer profiles so they get the most out of it. So again, if you have a little bit extra time on your hand, it might be a better time to go back and re-optimize your CRM so you're getting more than 10% of its value, okay? Because again, it is such an important tool and most people don't invest the time to make it work for them right. All right, so hopefully I tried to pack in as much as I could into this hour to give you some tools to stay connected with your base and show properties and grow your business and everything else, okay? I'm gonna slip into the chat that link I gave you guys at the beginning. So if you do wanna download the slides, you'll have that. Let me just get rid of the little intro part. You need to know who I am again. There you go. All right.
I've got a quick
question.
Yeah, I've got a quick question for you, Craig, and
sure, Greg.
for John Peck. Depositlink.com. It is a way it uses the ACH network. And I'm wondering if it's a way that we can, in Connecticut, facilitate deposits being made by buyers and receiving them as a listing agent. John or Craig?
I know they're being used around the country, but again, I don't know the specific statutes in Connecticut. So that's probably a better question for John.
I'm sorry, Greg. I was trying to get back to a full screen and I missed your question.
Yeah, the question, John, was depositlink.com. Do you know anything about that and the ability to receive deposits and for sourcing for the lenders, and it gets rid of the wire transfer issue?
I'm sorry, I've never heard of that. I'm sorry. I don't know the answer to the question.
Jonathan, it's basically an ACH option.
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't see where there could be an illegality regarding the delivery of the deposit. I mean, there's all sorts of programs out there. It's just a question of whether you are satisfied that they're secure enough and that you're actually going to get the money. I mean, it's sort of like Venmo, right? In some respects, it's just a different way of delivering funds. And again, without knowing how it works, I don't
Yeah.
see why it could be illegal. But whether it's acceptable to you, I think is something I'd need to look into a little bit more.
Okay, if you could, I just put the link in chat, and it's interesting because there's no cost to the buyer's agent, no cost to the seller's agent, sorry,
Right.
listing agent. And it's an interesting thing that maybe Craig can look into and talk about in the future, maybe at Resource.
Sure, absolutely. Yeah, and again, I know it's starting to get some traction in industry in other parts of the country, but again, most states allow stuff like, you know, the e-signature and the e-notary, so that's why I didn't. So you guys seem to be a little bit more stickler for that kind of stuff in Connecticut, so I wouldn't want to speak
Thanks
on
for
it,
coming.
right? Yeah, no, but I know a lot of realtors are using tools like that now, so it's out there. Janet asked in the chat, and I kind of removed the slide because I wasn't sure time-wise if we'd be able to squeak it in. But when I mentioned that I've built a tool to help you figure out CRMs, I just put it back up on the slide. And it's RETI, which is my site, .us /CRM. Okay. And what we did was we built out what's called a CRM generator. And the way it works is, first, we did a webinar series with all the best CRM vendors in the industry. And usually when we do our weekly webinars, they're educational. But when we did those webinars with those vendors, it was literally just demo and show us your tool, your products and all the stuff it does. And of course, we'd ask questions, kind of pick it apart. And then we, of course, recorded those webinars. That was kind of phase one. Phase two is we then sent a kind of a questionnaire to those vendors that made them fill them out. That told us exactly what features their system has and doesn't have and what tools it integrates with. And then we churned that into a little quiz. So all you got to do is, if you're an agent, you answer 7 questions. If you're a broker owner, you answer 8 questions. And then what it does is it takes all those vendors and ranks them from best to worst based on your input. So Mary, if you take that quiz, you'll get a different set of responses than Carol would, because she might answer the questions differently. So it ranks the vendors, and then you can click into each vendor's profile and learn about them. You can watch those videos, the webinars we did with them, and you can even click and schedule an appointment with them. And we don't get any money for this. It's not like we're getting money if you schedule an appointment with them. It's just a tool to help you kind of whittle down your research. And maybe you just contact your top 4, right? You set up an appointment with the top 4 and interview them versus trying to figure it out amongst 25. So it's just a little tool to help you kind of narrow down the field for your best matches. Okay. And then the other side of it is the RETI site, which if you, first of all, every single Wednesday at 4:00 Eastern, so we'll have one today. We do free webinars every single Wednesday. Something we started this year is we're also doing Monday workshops. Every Monday at 2, we're doing a free little Facebook Live workshop on different topics. And then once a month, we're doing a master class as well on a different topic. That's a separate paid thing. But if you need help learning about technology or marketing or anything like that, our site, it's not just me, there's like 5 of us that do the site together. We have over 2,500 instructional videos, product reviews, and webinars on the RETI site. So if you're interested, that's there. But again, every Wednesday we do our webinars. Do you guys put those on the calendar, Susie?
Don't know.
Okay, but you could easily put our webinars on your weekly calendars. Like we make it pretty easy to kind of plug them in if you want to.
Okay,
I can follow up with you on that.
sounds good.
Fantastic.
Yep. Any thoughts, questions, guys, for me?
Well,
Carol, I know we had, I had called you out on the virtual notary. Did you want to speak to that? Is there anything to add about that?
I didn't have too much to add, except that CTR is working on it. We're talking with different legislators, and there's a lot of different ways that this can end up happening, but it's still on our radar. It still is one of the things we're working on.
Okay, thank you.
well, thank you so much. I hope you all enjoyed today's program. I want to thank the eCar staff for helping set it up.
And thank you, Craig.
Yeah, thank you very much, Craig. Announcement was made last week about Realtor of the Year, Affiliate of the Year, Rookie of the Year, and YPN of the Year. The applications are available on the website as well as for the Honor Society, and we encourage you to apply or nominate someone. The application deadline is April 15th. A determination will be made next month if we're going to be holding the June 9th awards banquet outdoors. If it keeps being as sunny as it is today, maybe hopefully we will be able to. NAR President Charlie Oppler has challenged all of us to complete the Diversity Challenge Act by April 9th. And it includes the Fairhaven simulation, which is at fairhaven.realtor, in completing implicit bias training, which for Connecticut, we have a mandatory training, but there is a NAR training online, and an at-home with diversity certification. The next implicit bias class will be March 22nd with Cheryl Hilton, and one of the members of Greater Hartford is teaching that, and she helped co-wrote the course. We're collaborating with them to offer their 6-hour at-home with diversity class on March 26th for the low price of $55. It's usually $99, I believe. So details will be forthcoming, and it won't be too much longer. We have to say this, but please keep wearing your face masks and following CTR's guideline. And now we're going to draw the $100 gift certificate.
All right. If you want, I can share the screen so you can see it happen live, or I can just do it for you.
Whatever one you've, sure, we do it live so people know you're
All
not.
right. All right, Craig, you want to stop sharing your
Sure.
screen?
Yes, ma'am. There you
And
go.
I will share this screen. So we have, can we see this? Do you guys see the list of people?
Yep.
Okay. So here's my little formula. We have all the people that were registered. So we've lost a few, and I would say you got to be present to win. And let's go ahead and draw. Tina left. Are you still on, Tina?
She is, I think. I just saw her.
All right.
I
Tina
am.
wins $100 today.
Congratulations,
Wow.
Tina.
Nice.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So thank you so much, and really encourage you to try to take that challenge and I agree with Greg, get online and take some of our classes. We have really discounted them for members since we're doing it by Zoom. So take advantage of that.
And one last thing before we say goodbye today, we do have a task force that's going to be working on our lockbox and dues structure. So you guys will all be asked to weigh in. And when that happens, please do weigh in. We want to make the right decision that represents all of ECAR members. So please be on the lookout for that. And that will help guide and inform the Strategic Planning Committee, as well as the Board of Directors on your behalf. Thanks everyone for tuning in today. Craig, you did a great job. I think you provided some really good tools for everyone, and we've got it recorded so people can review it anytime they want. All right, everybody, thanks and have a great day.
Thank you. Have a great day, everyone.